Alright, gonna test audio. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay. Hey there. Alright. We're live! Welcome. Thank you for watching and joining us. Or just me. Well, my cats are running around. They were actually just having a fight, so we'll see how that goes. So I just wanted to do like kind of a quick live stream, kind of talk about stuff I'm working on, because there's a lot of stuff I'm working on, videos in the pipeline and things like that. So looks like we've got 7. That's nice. That's good. All right. All right. So I guess I'll start off like I've been doing a lot of 3D printing. So you guys know if you've been watching kind of the more recent videos or following me on social media at all. And so one thing I printed recently was Maker's Muse. He's a really awesome YouTuber, does a lot of like 3D printing stuff and making things. And he releases these awesome models, and this was his most recent one. It's a tolerance test. So let me get this camera off to the side here already. Position it to the table. Okay, let me transition. Alright, so this is a tolerance test. And basically it's different amounts of space in between. So this is 0.5 millimeters, you see it's like really loose, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, and then 0.15, which is like really, really tight. But when you open up all of them, there's this little thing pops out. And there's like a little Easter egg on the side. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's like a little code. He's big on putting watermarks on 3D prints so like people can't steal them, so I have a feeling that's probably what it is, and I assume probably in a video he'll explain it, or a live stream. But yeah, this was fun to print. I did have to use a screwdriver to loosen up the 0.15, but this has been useful in figuring out the tolerances, or like the amount of like extra space to add to prints so that I can fit parts into housings properly. And this actually bring us into something I'll talk about more in detail later, because it's going to be like the main focus of the video. But I'm working on a project where this will be like kind of the front panel, and so I kind of used this and did like a 0.2 tolerance for everything to fit in, and it worked out pretty well. So this is actually more handy than I thought it was going to be. It can also be a fidget spinner if that's your thing. So yeah, a lot of 3D printing. And another upcoming thing that's a little goofy, but I think it'll be fun, is Adafruit got these like SD card extensions in, and it's just ribbon cable with kind of like a dummy SD card and then like a little slot that it fits in. If I could get, yeah, so just like that. And so like if I want to plug this into my card reader that's under my desk and like mount this on the top, it makes it like really handy to do. But I asked in the chat the night that they released product like if it affects speed at all, and they weren't sure. So I think it'd be cool to kind of test out like daisy chaining a bunch of them together. So I'm gonna do a video, I'm hoping it'll come out like midweek, where I test the speeds of like one of these, 2 of these. I have 5 of them. I'm gonna daisy chain them and see if there's any speed reductions or if it just acts as like a pass-through. I'm really curious, because that could come in really handy for me with the way I have things wired up at my desk if I have like multiple ones like daisy chained together. So that's gonna be like a little funky thing. And am I the only one? Oh hey, how's it going? I'm not sure. It could be on my end too. Actually, it's showing me bad video settings, so that could be a thing. Yeah, my camera was lagging a lot, just in general on my computer, so it might be a problem with that. I think it's something with my capture card. So hopefully that will kind of resolve. And that might affect whether or not I do the project work, because it would be my main camera that's going to a capture card that'd be capturing that, so that might not be too fun to do. This cable is just like a ribbon cable that's basically I think it's probably just soldered directly to the pins on the SD card, so that it's acting as like just an extension, basically, making it like a cable. So that's going to be coming up. I'm going to run like disk mark and things like that, and do some real world tests just to see if there's any like latency. But yeah, so that's kind of like a funky like non-maker thing I'm going to be doing. Another computer thing that I want to do is kind of do some thermal paste experiments, but I need some like time to be able to have my computer like out of commission. So there's a 3-day weekend coming up next weekend in the States. It's President's Day, to remind ourselves when we used to have a president. So I might try it then. But another thing I've been working on, I'm gonna try a split camera, but let me know if it's like unbearable. If it is, I'll just keep it webcam. I like doing the OK synth. I kind of realized I love printing like really big things that have multiple parts. And so I've been kind of like searching for models that require like a lot of different parts that you can then put together. So I found one for a BB-8. And the Prusa did a really awesome job with the body. Like, it's just super smooth. I didn't really tweak too much with the settings. Like, this was just natural, like, settings, stock settings. So this will be the body there, and then there's all these things that'll go on the side, and they're held in with these orange rings. The design's really clever, so that the white is actually like slightly, if I can get it, slightly shorter in the back, you can see, and it'll snap over here. There goes the body. And they'll kind of hold it together, and there's all these like gray pieces too. It's really cool. It's a really cool design. So I'm going to be doing like a big like time-lapse assembly video for that, and I just have like 1 or 2 more parts to print. And let me grab the body that just fell. So I think that'll be a cool video. I might do some like sanding. There's BB-8's little head. So this is a really cool model. Let me get the model up. Let me really like destroy the stream by sharing my screen. Go. Transition. Alright, so yeah, this model is by W. Kuraker. I hope I'm saying that right. And so it's his model. He has a little kitty with the BB-8. And so that was the original version. It didn't have all the like cutouts and everything. So he did an updated version that has the cutouts. And some people have made them. If I go to made, yeah, you can see them. So there's one that's like really awesome where they actually like weathered it and everything. I won't be doing that. That's a little bit above me. But look at that. That's beautiful. There's also a stand that someone modeled. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Overhead cam. Yeah, I think it's on with my capture card. I'm not sure what's happening. It's always worked before, like even for just like doing videos. So I'm not sure what's going on. So we might forego the live project work so that I can try to take care of that, because I think it'll be painful. So that's the BB-8. It's going to be a fun little video, fun little ditty. If anyone knows of like big, like multi-parts prints, let me know, because I'm on the hunt. I'm on the prowl for those. Let me switch back to webcam only. So another thing, it's just like kind of like a little side project, is I've been wanting to try out like surface mount soldering. I've never done it before. So I picked up a little kit, and the main reason why I want to work on, like, try out surface mount soldering is because I have a bigger project that I'll show in like a second that's going to require all surface mount soldering. So I have this deep fascination with the Cold War, specifically from like the Soviet perspective. Like, I love reading about the USSR and everything that like was going on with that, because in the States they don't really talk about that perspective. It's all United States, and then they like mention like that they obviously like they were against the USSR, but we never learn like what was happening over there, like their perspective or things. So I've always found it like really fascinating. I've read a lot of books on it as well. But because of that, like this shop on Tindy, which I'll throw the link down in the description after I finish up the stream, because I did forget to bookmark that for this. But there's this dude who makes actually I think I have it on the. Okay, it's called Kits for Kids, by Barbricius, I think. And so he makes these little surface mount kits. He has like trucks and stuff, but he had a CCCP rocket kit, which I thought looked really cool. So that's the one I picked up, and it comes with all the like parts and everything. You can get on Tindy. He even includes this like fun little like reference card, which is cool. So I'm gonna use this to kind of test out my surface mount skills, and kind of get a feel for that. And when it's all set, it holds a little cell battery, and it'll blink some lights, so that'll be nice. That'll be fun. And the reason why I want to work on my surface mount skills is, I don't know if any of you follow like SparkFun Electron. Oh, the kitty. That's Harriet that just ran by. SparkFun, like they do some kind of like really crazy project, and Nick Poole actually does these things called Stupid Arduino. And they made an Arduino that was, let me bring it up. They did an Arduino that was basically a micro ATX motherboard form factor. And here we go. So let me transition. So this is an Arduino board. Like, it's running the Atmega 3. It's a 32U4 that's on it, and as you can see, it takes like ATX power supply and everything, and he did these little cards. And so there was a thing where they had to order a certain amount of boards to get it made. So they had extras, and they were like, if you leave like a comment, we're gonna pick people randomly to win one. So I left a comment. I didn't think much of it, and like a couple months went by, and then all of a sudden I got an email from SparkFun. They're like, oh, you won, you're gonna get it. And so I won one, which is really cool. And I also won some of the cards too, so I can make my own like surface mount like SparkFun board, which I'm really excited about. The only thing is, it's basically all surface mount soldering, which is something I've never done before, but I think I'll be able to do it. It'll definitely be a cool challenge. And also, I mean, like, some of you know, like, my other main interest is computer parts, like PC and everything. So the fact that it's a micro ATX form factor and everything is just, like, amazing. Let me try to get the camera back on there. Okay, so you can at least get like an up close. You can see on the cards, it's the same form factor as, let me grab an Arduino. Like, it has the same amount of pins as an Arduino Uno. So basically these are like shield cards, and they're all routed so that when you plug them into the slots, they'll hook up to the processor and everything correctly, which is just so cool. I want to do, like, I'm thinking a big, like, music lights project thing, maybe some, like, MIDI stuff, because, like, all with the amount of RAM you get on there, you can do that. Like, you could run multiple shields and it'll be fine. So I'm thinking like NeoPixels, audio, just craziness, and I want to put it in like an actual case too. It'll be like a little contained box. So that's going to be a project that I kind of slowly work on, because it'll take a little bit of research and troubleshooting and everything, but that's going to be coming. And I know everyone always says this when they win something, like, I never win anything. I really don't. I think this is the first thing I've ever like won that wasn't like a silly like bingo or raffle thing. So like I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. So that's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to like really dig into this. And just the idea that it's a micro ATX form factor, like, is so crazy. And it's literally like Arduino. You can see the traces, hopefully, with the light. Like, there's not a lot of traces going on just because it's all so spread out. So yeah, that's going to be coming. That's going to be cool. Let me wrap this back up before a cat gets to it. So the main project I'm working on, like right now, like actively, like it's going to be out in like probably like a week or two with the guide and everything, is probably noticed I do a lot of NeoPixel projects, and when you're doing NeoPixels, like you can either do kind of like the built-in effects, or you can have them set to specific colors. And when I do like the Stranger Things project, and then also like the lights I have in my computer, like I dial in the colors, but it can be kind of hard to go off what like the web colors look like, because sometimes they don't translate that great into real life. So often I'll default to just using like 255 or 127 for the RGB values, and I have them written down in a notebook, like what ones make what. But I've always kind of wanted to dial it in a little bit more properly. So I made, and let me bring my camera, my super laggy camera up. I've always thought it'd be kind of cool to have like some sort of like real world thing where it tells you what the colors are before you have to kind of play around with the Arduino IDE and like reload it over and over. Of course, MicroPython makes it a little bit more instant now. But what I've been working on, if you follow me on any of the social medias, you might have seen it. It's basically like an RGB dialer for NeoPixels, so that you can kind of like instantly see the colors change, which is really fun. So what I'm using is a Feather M0 from Adafruit, and that means it can run Arduino code or CircuitPython. I'm running it CircuitPython right now. I did do some Arduino code. I might release both or just the CircuitPython. I'm not 100% sure yet. The Arduino code is a little bit laggier than the CircuitPython, so not really sure. It all depends on like how many delays you put in and anything like that. Oh, hold on. Let me take a look at the chat. Cool thing about SMD, you don't have to turn around your board to solder. So I can call it, oh, that's a good idea. Well, not idea, but fact. That's good to know. And then some of the cakes. I have an idea. Capacitive sensing with lots of NeoPixels. Oh, that'd be cool. Like you could touch things on the case, and oh, that's a great idea. I want to like write that down so I don't forget. Of course, I don't have a pen. Capacitive touch. I sometimes do like a weird sing-songy thing when I have ideas. Capacitive touch with NeoPixels. I'll put it with the board. Good idea. Good idea. So back to the RGB dialer. I think that's what I'll call it, RGB dialer. What was I even saying? Well, anyway, it's the Feather M0, and then obviously the potentiometers are controlling the RGB values, so I'm converting the analog values into digital so that it goes up to 255, and that's controlling RGB. And then I have the values showing up onto an LCD screen right here, and I think it actually is showing up on that camera because it's not like totally blown out, which is cool. What I want to have happen is have it be in a housing. So that's where this came in that I showed like a couple minutes ago. I did like a test print to kind of see how things were going to fit. So this is kind of how it'll look on the front. It's a nice size, fits in the hand. So that's good. This would almost be like a cool like guitar pedal form factor too. So I was like 50% successful with coming up with the measurements and everything. Like the screen fits nicely. That went well. And then, one thing, to label the potentiometers, I'm going to just use a red, green, and blue LEDs. Originally, I wanted to have it so that the pot was also controlling the LED brightness, but not through digital means, just like having the data leg also connected to the power leg for the LED, but I found that the resistance was a little bit too high, and so it would take a while for the LED to kind of come on, and meanwhile the NeoPixel was like actively changing color. So I've decided to just have them be on and have them below the pots here. So when it's on, it'll say it'll be the red, green, and blue LEDs, and those are gonna fit in with these little 5mm holders, and those snapped in really well with this measurement. Like that went well. What did not go well, and this is why I did a test. So right now I have it hooked up to like an actual NeoPixel strip that is like way too long for this. That's actually going to go. Oh, I didn't talk about that. So one project I want to do, and I've just kind of thought of this, I haven't like actively pursued it yet, is I want to put NeoPixels in my guitar amp. I want to have it frame the outside of the amp, like around the speaker grill, and I want to connect it up to my amp so that the audio affects the brightness of the NeoPixels. So that will be happening probably later in the spring. It's just an idea. They have these new side-lit NeoPixels now. That's what these are, and they're gonna look awesome, I think, in the amp, and that's gonna be a fun little project. But for this RGB dialer, I'm using just an 8 NeoPixel stick. It's a little guy. It's a little one, but that's all we need. And so that's gonna sit here, but as you can see, I didn't quite get the measurements right on that. I got it too long, but also too short at the same time, which is quite the success. So I've adjusted that in CAD. Should be fine now. But then I have these little kind of pegs popping out, and those will hook into the little mount holes there. So that'd be cool. So that's how that's going to fit. And then these are for the pots. I'm going to be using these pots here. They're 10K. I did try 1K when I was experimenting with the LED brightness. That didn't seem to help out, but I got this slightly wrong. I need a little bit of an extra tolerance. So fix that in CAD too. But so 3 pots for the RGB values, and then the LCD screen also needs a pot, so there'll be a pot here as well. And then for the layout underneath, I'm going to be using an Adafruit Proto board, just because they're really fun to solder on, and they make things a lot simpler. So I'll be using that, so that'll be like under here, the LCD on top, and I'm actually going to use female headers so that the LCD can kind of plug in and out. And if I ever swap in another one, like maybe an RGB one, because it'd be cool to kind of add that extra layer of RGB, because you can never have too much RGB. And then the feather is going to sit kind of off to the side here underneath, and there'll be a little cutout for the USB port. So that's how the layout's going to be, and I actually wrote up in Fritzing a quick circuit diagram, so let me switch over to that. Yeah, so that's how it looks quite cramped. It's because I was just trying to keep how it's actually going to look like in the box. But yeah, so you got the feather, I was trying to send these to the back, but it wasn't cooperating. I think because there's like too many wires, so I might move some stuff. For the final thing, I'll have it more spread out so it's not like crazy here, but that's basically how it's going to look like inside the case. And what a perfect opportunity to use these guys all have names. Gus the green, Billy the blue, Ruby the red. Good opportunity to use those in Fritzing from Adafruit. If you don't use Fritzing, you should, because it's a really fun program. It makes building up circuits really easily. And SparkFun, Adafruit, a bunch of other open source electronic companies, like they have all their like Fritzing parts available for download off GitHub, so you can load those in. Like I have a ton of libraries off to the side, which my screen, I have a 21:9 screen, so it's a little bit harder to get it all in there, but you've got a ton of libraries, and like almost every single part is available. But let's take a look at the chat. Plus, yeah, positive and ground rails, really convenient, especially for a project like this where basically every single part needs 5-volt and ground. Like, it's going to make everything a lot easier. And where, like, I'm kind of determining the form factor of the housing, I don't have to worry too much about trying to shrink it down onto, like, other types of protoboard, which is what I'm normally doing. So I thought it was a good opportunity to use this. Also, the solder pads on these are awesome. The solder flows really nicely. And you also don't have to like rack your brain about doing a new circuit layout, and you don't have to bridge the connections, which is like my biggest pet peeve with using protoboard. I hate bridging the solder connections because I always feel like I'm going to short something out and it's not going to properly be connected. Actually, I have a project right here. When I did the remote, which I actually stole the feather to practice here, here's an example of some shorted things. Like, it works, but also I more often than not forget to join like two joints, and then I have to go back and revisit it, but after staring at it for a bit and being like, why aren't you working? So yeah, it'd be good to not have to deal with that for this project. I mean, these have their time and place, and these have there's moments when this doesn't make sense too, so they'll have their time and place, but it just makes for a relaxing build to use one of these. Let's see. I've done something similar with glasses for an event. 2 glasses hit each other, sparks and neopixel rings that matter. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Oh, wine glasses. I see. That's cool. I do see screen backpack for that. I did think about it, but with all the other stuff I'm kind of wiring in, I didn't want to, I kind of wanted to keep everything kind of separate, and also have it so that if I wanted to change out the screen for a different one, then I could. So, but that's a good thought to use the backpack. But yeah, so let's play with the colors a little bit. There is a little bit of a delay because of to when the neopixels react to the pots, because of the delay that you have to have in so that the screen doesn't go berserk. But I have an idea on how to fix that that I'm gonna try. I'm not sure if it'll work, but it's like an idea. So like here is on GitHub, like this is the library that you load in for the LCD for CircuitPython. And if you scroll down, like you see the defines, and so like define clear, that's how you have to clear the LCD, and that's so that the values will refresh. If you don't have this, then it'll just read the first value and stay there. But by clearing it, it will constantly refresh it. But you can see it has a super short delay, 0.003. Because actually, I think I can do some live. So this is the CircuitPython code that I'm using, and I've been using Moo to do CircuitPython stuff, and I've really been enjoying it. I hope you can see the code. Yeah, you can. So I have to put in a little delay so that it doesn't go nuts, but let me comment out the delay so that you can see what happens. So it's unreadable, like it's insane, and it's constantly refreshing, like it's super jittery. So let me get that delay back. Now you can see it, but it slows down the neopixels. So if I comment it out again, now the neopixels are like instant though, although it may not seem instant if the camera is still lagging. So you need that delay in there, but what I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do is either edit this delay for my own uses. That's like second runner-up. My first choice is to define a new class called slow clear and put in the delay here that I want to use with the neopixels, and just see if I can have that in there to make it like a little bit less delayed. I don't know if it'll work. It's kind of like an experiment. It's also so that I can practice doing some compiling to a .mpy file. So just a little experiment I'm going to try. I'll report back when I've done it, see if it works, but yeah. Oh, you're only seeing half the code? I'm sorry. Let me go back to it and also get it so that I am getting a preview. I see. Okay. Sorry about that. I think I'd scaled it for when I was doing fritzing. Let me also hide the... You don't need to see me for this. Okay, yeah, there's the code. Sorry about that, guys. So there's the importing the libraries, and then all the LCD declared stuff, and then the pots. One cool thing that I did to get the LCD message to show the proper values, and this is like parentheses hell. First of all, like the LCD message, it's looking for characters, so it needs to be a string. So in Python, you can convert things pretty simply. So I'm converting it to a string for the value of the pot, and then I'm also doing I'm also truncating the number so that it drops the decimal. Otherwise, the decimal goes for days. So you get a rounded number with the math.trunc, and it shows a string so that the LCD can recognize it with this command. And because the number is straight out that's being read is a float, so also for the neopixel you have to convert it to an integer, and that's something that I discovered with the GoPro Lite, having to convert it. So there's some like extra Python fun with this code. I thought it'd be cool if it was R plus G plus B equals for the display. The only thing is like it makes it like a slightly odd number, so I might add some extra spaces to make it even, because it kind of drives me nuts when things are slightly not even. I actually need to move the position of the... Let me bring back the webcam. I need to fix the position of the pots, because they're slightly off just slightly off center. They're like 2 millimeters off. So I need to fix that. I could tell looking at it, it was just like, it's slightly off. And then I measured last night and it showed that I was not crazy, that it really was. Because when I placed these, I just kind of did it by sight with Fusion 360. I'd love to do some like modeling on stream, but my computer, I've discovered really, it wants to really dedicate its time to Fusion 360. It really doesn't want to multitask when that's happening, which makes sense. So yeah, and to do the quick print, I just did, I just left it at 2 millimeter height. I just did 2 top and 2 bottom layers, left the infill like really minimal, and up the speed to like 125%, and that made it print out in like, it's like 35-45 minutes, which is not bad for like this size. And then I was able to just like kind of quickly look at it. And I like the silver, let me do a full. I like the silver filament for this. I think it blends well. Let me, I think it blends well with the RGB. Like, I think it's kind of like neutral enough, but still kind of funky enough. So I might do silver for the box, but I'm also not totally sure. Because I was thinking like purple or something, but I do like the silver, so I might do silver. It is PLA, and how did I measure it? I have a pair of calipers, so that's how I measure everything. These are very cheap. They're like 20 bucks. So like you don't need crazy expensive calipers. Like there are more like fine-tuned ones, but like how these work is you power them on. You can switch between millimeter and inch. I use millimeter for modeling. I wish that, you know, the United States would get on track with the rest of the world on most things, but millimeters would be nice too. And then you can just, I'm not sure if it'll, ooh, I got some shine, but when you pull it out, like it'll show like the measurements and stuff. And so, like that's how I measured all the parts, like to get the diameters and everything. And let me grab my notebook. Where'd my notebook go? Darn, where'd I put the notebook? So I write down all the measurements of all the parts when I'm modeling into a notebook. I like to do some like doodles with it too. Let me just, I know it's around here somewhere because I keep basically everything in that notebook. And I misplace it a lot because I'm always carrying it random places. Where did I put it? Coffee. I know it's somewhere. So I have a notebook somewhere where I wrote down all the measurements. 1 second. I'm just gonna quickly look around. Where did I put it? Like, seriously, where did I put it? Okay, well, I won't waste more time. But, so I write down all the measurements for, like, the pots, the feather, the screen, the LEDs, everything. Even, like, these little nubby things that will hold in the LEDs. And then, you want to add in, like, tolerances. And that's when I was talking about the Maker's Muse tolerance test. You can kind of see you add in a little bit of extra wiggle room, basically, so that, because when you're 3D printing, the PLA can shrink. So if you, like, if I were to model everything so it's the exact measurement of this pot, it's not going to fit. So you need some tolerance, and so that's why I went with 0.2, because I liked how my printer can handle the tolerance. And, like, every printer is going to have a slightly different tolerance based on like a variety of factors. And actually Maker's Muse video where he talks about this model, he explains tolerance and clearance like really well. And you know, I never got into the fidget spinner thing when it was happening, but it is really entertaining to spin. I might have to print a fidget spinner. But anyway, So that's how you measure it, and then in Fusion 360 you can put in different like amounts for everything. You watched this video? Yeah, you did. Good. If so 83, is that your handle? Adafruit's 3D model projects sometimes include the modeled component parts too. Saves a lot of time. Yes, definitely. I have used that sometimes for some stuff. I do like to measure it myself too, just for like a sanity check, and also like like as I said, these are kind of like cheaper calipers. Sometimes they can be slightly like a hair off, and so if I'm measuring everything and getting a certain measurement with these, if it's reading like maybe like 0.02 millimeters off, then I'm kind of getting a proper measurement of like the feather compared to this pot with these calipers, so that they're all in kind of the same scale, because just like how tolerance is different for everything, the calipers might be a little bit off too. So and also I like to trace the parts too in the notebook, which I wish I could find, because I like to doodle everything out, and that helps with kind of thinking how things are going to be laid out. So but yeah, Adafruit and SparkFun, they have all the files up there, and you can download them, and you can even import them into Fusion 360, I think. So that's cool. Well, one more thing I want to talk about the code real quick, because I think this is kind of important. I discovered this with the GoPro Lite, which is now a Learn Guide on Adafruit, which is awesome. I'm actually going to talk about guides in a second. But if you've done a lot of Arduino stuff, you know how you convert analog to digital values. You can use the map command, and you map 1023, which is the max analog value, to 255, which is the max digital value. That doesn't exist in Python or CircuitPython. And you're actually, the number that is read stock from an analog input is the voltage, and that's 65,535. So that is basically CircuitPython's version of 1023 in Arduino. So to scale that to digital, you actually divide it by 257, and that will give you the same thing. So I figured that out by dividing 65,535 by 255, and I got 257. So if you need to convert any analog things to digital in CircuitPython, you can use this quick equation and it'll work. So that's a little Easter egg nugget to keep in your back pocket. And so let me transition back to the webcam. So guides. In the past, I always published on Hackster.io. I'm still going to be using that for some projects, but if... One moment, need some water. If I'm doing a project that uses a lot of Adafruit stuff, and Adafruit is like, thinks it's like cool, it's going to be a Learn Guide from now on. This might cause a little bit of a delay compared to when the video goes up versus like when the guide goes up, but I'm gonna be kind of doing more Adafruit Learn Guides, hopefully, if they'll allow me to. So that'll be happening. If I'm doing stuff that like doesn't use Adafruit stuff, then I'll probably put in Hackster.io, but just wanted to put that out there. Adafruit people are really cool, and it's pretty cool to be able to like do Learn Guides. Like, it's awesome. So hoping there'll be more coming from that, but that's why like there was a little bit of a delay with the GoPro guide, because I was like really neatening it up, and I did a CircuitPython version of the code as well. So just wanted to put that out there. And also, speaking of projects, I have a really huge long-term project that I just started working on that I can't talk about yet. But if and when it is able to be completed, I think it's going to be a really big deal. not just for like the channel, but also for me like personally and professionally. So I've started that. I can't talk about it yet, and I know it's really cryptic, and I personally hate when people do that, so I apologize. But the only reason why I'm saying it is as the spring comes, and I'm like starting to work on it more, there may be a slight slowdown in videos. If that starts to happen, I'll probably start maybe doing some more like live streams kind of like this, and that would kind of serve as that week's video. So I just wanted to put that out there. If you see any slowdown of content from me, it's not because I'm stopping or anything like that. It's because this thing I might have to put a little bit more attention to stay on deadline with stuff. So just want to put that out there. It's gonna be really awesome when it's all set, and I can't wait to tell you guys about it. I can't wait for it to happen, but just wanted to put it out there. So yeah, leaks. Yes, they have to allow this. I thought it was just people putting up there. Because it's their site and stuff, they want to just make sure it's like chill, you know, and that it's like the code works and the diagrams are like up to their standards and stuff. So by like allow, that's kind of like what that is. And like there's certain standards like that they meet, because it's like it's their company, you know, like that's what they're putting up there. So yeah, whereas like Hackster, it's your own personal account, like I could just put up a picture of a circuit diagram and call that a guide, you know? So that's what that is. So yeah. But it's cool to put stuff on the Learn system, because you're giving like directly back to the community, because with the Adafruit projects, like if you've done like work with the Adafruit things, to put it back up on as a Learn guide is cool, because then it's like this cool ecosystem. So yeah. How long have we been going? 48 minutes, oh my gosh. I think I'm gonna wrap things up. I know that I said I was gonna do some project work, but where the camera's being kind of rude, and to be honest, my voice is feeling a little bit fried. I don't know how people like Micah and others do such long streams, but my voice isn't really in shape. I'm gonna start to get raspier than I already am naturally. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go wrap things up, but thank you all for joining in the chat, and those who are hanging out not in the chat as well. I rarely contribute to chats on live streams, so if you're just there taking it all in, I also appreciate you, so thank you. So yeah, alright, if there's any other questions, feel free to throw them in the chat for like the next minute or two, and then I'm gonna be kind of shutting things down. I don't know how much of a delay there is too, so that's why I'm kind of dilly-dallying. I'm curious how many times my cats ran by. 'Cause I saw every once in a while somebody was putting in cat, so it'd be cool to have a cat counter. Or speaking of Micah Scott, if you aren't following her, you totally should. She's building this huge like cat tracking camera system in her apartment that uses a bunch of awesome like AI things. Well, not AI. I'm not 100% sure on exactly the technologies. I'd hate to misquote it, but it's really cool. It'd be awesome to like install that here. Although I'm pretty sure I would be immediately evicted. But to track my cats as they roam around the land. Yeah, my cats are cool. They are my family. I love my kitties. I wish that sometimes Winnie gets on my lap when I'm working on my computer, and I was kind of hoping she'd get in my lap. Because there was one Adafruit show and tell I was on where I'd already gone, so I was just like hanging in the Google Hangout because there wasn't a big queue that night. And when he got on my lap, I was like, oh, how nice. So I tilted the webcam down so people could see her in the Google Hangout, and you know, she was being a good little kitty. And then something happened. I forget what, but she freaked out, leapt out of my lap, and by leaping out of my lap, she got tangled in my headphones that were plugged into my DAC that's over here, and she pulled the headphone and it was an earbud, so it like yanked out of my ear too, and the headphones went like flying into my kitchen as she just like went nuts, and it was horrifying. And I mean, I doubt anyone like really saw, because I would have been like a little picture in the bottom, but yeah, there's one show and tell where that happens. And it like hurt too, but I still don't know why she freaked out. Every once in a while she gets a little nuts. Harriet a little bit more than Winnie, actually. Harriet's more hyper. She wasn't having it, yeah. Alright guys, I'm gonna wrap things up. Thank you so much for joining and watching and everything. Thank you. Cause also, like, actually, one last thing. The channel growth has been crazy. All of you that are subscribing and watching and commenting, thank you. I never like expected that. I know people say that with their channels, but I just kind of started it because I was feeling kind of like, I don't want to say quarter life crisis, but the best way to kind of summarize everything I was feeling. That's kind of what I was feeling, and so I just wanted to like start doing something productive, and the fact that it's grown to even this side, like, it's crazy. So thank you so much. I'm gonna stop the stream. I'm hoping to stream a little bit more. I want to do some teardowns of like retro kind of video game hardware. I think that'd be really cool. So let me know if there's pieces of hardware you'd want me to hunt, or if you have something you'd want to send, we can chat. So yeah, thank you. I hope you have a good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. And have a good one. Bye-bye.